Okay, but now it says we are live,
Oh,
so
hello.
we're gonna go with that. So,
All
hello
right, let's
everyone.
see. Got it. It's
Thank
had a
you
little
for
thing up
your
there.
patience with us postponing this from yesterday. All sorts of technology difficulties yesterday and a little bit this morning, but I think we've made it. So, I'm Annette Friesman. I'm with Project Recovery Iowa, and I'm on with Jane Ryan, who is with the Altoona Kindness Rocks. Correct?
Altoona IA Rocks is the formal name.
That's your
So,
hashtag, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. And you can find them on Facebook. She's got a Facebook group on there. So tell me how your project got started.
Out of boredom. Um, I have a sunroom attached to my house that looks right over a bike path and a creek that goes to a city park. And I thought it needed a little uh, uplift, a little more uh, beauty to it for all the people that were walking by. So I just thought, I'll plant some flowers down there, and that was okay. And then I was coming across some pretty big rocks and thought, well, painting those would look kind of cute. And so I just sort of made a little border. And then after we had gone to visit my granddaughter, she had it was in Dallas, Texas. She had come across a um, little river walk that had some what she called kindness rocks, and I found those and I researched the Kindness Project that actually started in Cape Cod by a lady. I cannot remember her name right now, but about 7 or 8 years ago. And so I just was feeling sad for the people that were walking on the bike path. COVID had just started and we were in quarantine, and everybody just looked so sad passing by. And I was feeling pretty sad and lonely too. And my husband said, well, why don't you paint some of those rocks that we saw? So there I came up with it. I just started painting some silly little things like, hey, I'm just laying here. um, Wave as you go by, little rocks saying that. And a lady came by one time with her family, and she looked at the rocks, and I yelled out my window, or hollered, or whatever you like. And I said, thank you for stopping. And she says, may we have one? And I said, oh, those are just for people to enjoy. And then she walks up and she starts telling me about kindness rocks that you actually pass on to other people. And I hadn't really gotten that when I had figured out that the Kindness Rock Project. But she said that they had come from San Diego, and she says that's what they do. You just take one and then you hide it, and someone else passes it on, and it's just like sharing smiles, and it's a way to connect with other people,
Mhm.
which is so neat. And that's what we really, really needed during the really bad COVID
Mhm.
time too, was that we lost that connection with other
Yep.
people.
Yep.
And the most joy I get out of um, doing the Kindness Rocks is to just watch people smile. And you can just tell by their demeanor and how they stand or walk that they're feeling happy. And that I feel like that's just, it makes me happy that
Right.
it's a part of just communicating non-verbally with people too.
I did that last year. I just did a few of them last year and took them around. And then I went
Yeah,
back to see if they were still there. And it made me happy that somebody else picked that rock up. So I was hoping it highlighted,
right,
brightened up their day. Now, you
right.
also put a hashtag on the back of yours and you follow your rock somehow, right?
Yeah, it's like when you please post a pic to our Facebook page. We like to follow our rocks where they
Okay.
travel.
Uh-huh.
It all how much I write on there kind of depends on how
The
big
size
the rocks are.
of the
So
rock. Yeah.
sometimes it's just the hashtag, but yeah, and that's really fun too. There's little. I can sit here and watch the little kids run off. I mean, the parents are lagging behind, but the little kids know that this is a destination spot, and they run up. He says, "Rocks, rocks!" And then I have um, an old flower pot there with rocks that I have picked from either the creek down below or ones that I had purchased through like landscaping, Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, that are not quite the right size for me to use for what I'm trying to do. I have those down there. So there's rocks available for them to, sometimes they're just digging through those. Oh, I want to paint this one. I want to paint that one, you know? And that's just so fun. That's just so fun to see them do it. And adults do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, yeah, last week was really slow. And so in preparing for this, if I could talk, I just sat and painted rocks one day, and it was uplifting, and just that part of it is fun. So tell me some other memorable highlights that you've had since you've done this, since you started this in 2020, right?
Right.
Sorry, there's a horn going off outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
No.
somebody's warm. But anyway, tell me about
I have a very loud Baltimore Oriole out my
Oh,
window, and if you hear something like that, it's just the bird. So yeah.
the bird. Okay. So, what other memorable moments can you think of from the last 2 years of doing this project?
To a small little girl who's probably about 4 or 5 right now, her first name is Wren, and that's all I know about her. Her and her mommy would come, and her mommy would sit on the ground in front of the rocks down there, and Wren would pick out all the rocks, take them all out, and then she'd put them back where she wanted them, and they would do that with fairy wings on.
Oh,
It was so adorable. So we started every time she would come up, I would make sure that I had a special rock just for Ren to take down to her, and she started calling me the rock fairy. So I don't know, call me what you want. Some people call me the rock fairy, some people call me the rock lady. So I don't. But yeah, that was very, very precious. That was very precious.
So if someone wanted to get started painting a rock, what do they need besides the rock?
Need a rock. You can find them anywhere. Just look under your foot. You're probably standing on a rock. What you need is one that is not too big, and one that's medium sized, sort of like that would be good. And even the little ones you can do things with too. I'll show you how to do the little itty bitties in a little bit too. But make sure that if you grab it from the creek area or so, might be kind of a flat surface to it. And also it's not too rough. But if it is kind of bumpy or too rough, you can just take some regular sandpaper and just sort of smooth off, any of the lumps or bumps. Or you can let the rock tell you what it wants to be. Because if it has some really neat geography on it or anything, that might be some hint of what you can paint on the rock. If you can see on this one, it has like a line that goes through it.
Yeah.
Well, this one turned out to be, we're all in the same boat.
Cute.
And so that was just you see the wave there?
Yep. Yep.
That was just the rock telling me what it wanted to do. Another one here is there's a line that goes sort of diagonal on this one, and that one turned out to be the branch that the birdies are sitting on.
Oh, cute.
So yeah, another one was kind of odd shaped.
Oh, and it's a whole bird. Yeah.
It's a little bluebird, yeah. So, and that you just pick them up and use your imagination, and that's really good. Kids really have so much video and other things, but to get out into nature and to look around and see what beauty we have out there, use your imagination.
Yeah. Crafting is a good self-care thing. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, doing some sort of a project, whether it's painting, reading, journaling, whatever that is for you, it's a good thing to kind of bring down that anxiety. So
absolutely.
What kind of paint are you using?
Painting kindness rocks is a very inexpensive hobby or craft or project that you want. Like I said, rocks are free. They're outside. Just go look for them. I just get at one of the local big barn stores, or Walmart or wherever.
Yeah, yeah,
That's like 50 cents.
yeah. Mine
And
is, it's a different brand, but it's the same type of thing.
yes,
Yeah,
it's about
yeah,
50 cents. It's less than $1.
yep,
You know, you can
yep,
buy fancier ones, that are a little bit more expensive. They give
yep.
different little textures and glows
And
and
brushes, you
shiny.
can buy an inexpensive set of brushes at Walmart too,
Yeah.
or Hobby Lobby, any of those. Yep.
There's
Oh, look at
yeah,
all your
I have a
brushes.
whole bunch of brushes here. They're all I have people that I have family and friends that come over and paint, so I usually have little things for them too. You can use paint pens.
Oh, yeah.
These are like acrylic paint pens, and that's really good for like a set of these. I think was like $13 or something. They go on sale quite often, but
And they're good for the, if you're going to put like words, like this one, I put smile on, if you're going to have words on them,
right,
those work
right
really good. I
for
also have used permanent markers to do my wording.
yeah. With permanent markers, you have to make sure that you seal them really good too, because otherwise the ink in the permanent markers will run, and sometimes they fade over time too. But yeah, just the using the paint pens, you can do little things
Oh,
like that, and
cute.
then you can outline things too. Another thing you can have is what do I do with my daughter? My dot. Oh, here it is. There's a thing called mandala or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. Anyway, it's the art of dotting, which is really neat. And that's what I did with this one here. Is just put um, your tool in a little bit of the
Paint.
paint, and then just
Mhm.
make your dots. You don't need to buy things like that. Just do like put a straight pin at the end of a
Oh,
pencil and use that. You
I've
can
used
use
the end of my paint pen, or just turn the brush upside down and use the handle of the brush. I've done that before too.
yep. People have
That's what I used on this one to do my dots. I used
yep,
just the paintbrush, the
yep,
end of the paintbrush.
toothpicks,
Oh yeah,
toothpicks, like a Q-tip, take all the fuzz off of it, and then use
yep.
yeah. See,
Just
it's
get
just
another way to get creative. What can I use around the house to help me paint?
right, right.
Yeah. And then you mentioned sealing, and I didn't know about sealing rocks last year, but it makes sense, right? Because they're out in the elements.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I've seen some on your page too that where the paint has kind of started to wear off.
Right.
So I just
That's
had this on hand, and it's just an indoor-outdoor sealer that protects from the sunlight and
mm-hmm.
rain and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but you mentioned to make sure that it has UV protection on it, right?
Yeah, UV protection and yeah, and non-yellowing.
Yes.
Fast drying, non-yellowing, and UV protection. This I use this, and there's also another one. This is Rust-Oleum, but there's also Krylon is another really good brand too.
And again,
Now,
those are not expensive to buy at
no, I
like
think
Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Walmart, any of those.
yeah. I think I get this mostly at Menards, but this is like what is like $4 or
And
around.
it goes, I mean, it lasts a long time. It'll do lots of
Oh
rocks.
yeah. I
Yeah.
usually put like 2 coats on unless it's something
Mhm.
that I want really, really shiny. I put 3 coats on. Um, I made a mistake and I bought the matte rather than the gloss. So it doesn't matter. The matte works good. This one's a matte.
I was just going to
And
say there's different, there's glossy, there's matte,
yeah,
there's satin. So however you want yours to be, however
yep,
shiny you want it to be,
yep.
you
Just
can
as
you can
long
do
as
that
it's
too.
outdoor, good
Right.
for the outdoor. Some
Yep.
people can do, where did I put that? Oh, I think I set it out for someone to take. Anyway, you can do Mod Podge or decoupage on your rocks too. My daughter sent me this cute little note, and on the envelope, the little birdhouse was on the envelope seal flap, and I had just cut it out, put it on a rock, and I'm sorry, but it's in somebody's pocket making them happy right now. So I just put it on the rock, but you take your Mod Podge, and if it's a thin piece of paper, I couldn't use that cardstock, but like a thin piece of paper, even napkins, real
Mhm.
pretty napkins,
Mhm.
um, paint paint a layer of the Mod Podge on, and then lay your little uh, decoration on there. let it dry, put some more Mod Podge on it, and there you don't even have to paint.
Is that is that a sealer too, or do you still need to spray the
That
sealer?
that just glues it on. What it is, it's just Mod Podge is like watery Elmer's glue or thicker Elmer's. And that's pretty much what it is. It's just a glue. So yes, after that, you really need to use the sealer again. That's what the mistake I did when I was first learning. Was I did the Mod Podge and then the sealer, but I didn't put enough of the sealer on. And when the rock would move or get bumped or get, scratched or anything, the water would leak in and ruin some of them. So live and learn.
Right? Yeah. And you can fix some of those mistakes too. So,
Oh,
mistakes
absolutely.
are okay. Yeah.
I think I put a note on my Facebook page at one time. If any of the rocks are looking weary and need to be fixed or updated or something like that, just drop them back off at the Kindness Garden, and I'd be willing to reuse them or, fix them, because it was a learning process for me. I just really needed to, you know, update them. So yeah, there's been a couple of them that have come back, and I've either just restored them to the original or just make
Redone.
new ones out of them.
Yep.
So
I have my grandkids live by an elementary school here in town, and this school has a kindness rock garden outside.
oh, awesome.
And when I told my grandkids about it, they go, "Oh, can we go? Can we go?" And they were so excited to go down there and search through the rocks. And
Yeah.
so it does just
Yeah.
make people happy. And so, and it, like you said, it doesn't cost much to get started or to do that.
Right.
You don't have to have a garden to do that. Like I don't have a garden at
No.
by me, but I will just paint them, and then I've put them in playgrounds. I've put them along the trails. I'm just wherever you think people will be that might want them. I saw one. I was in Pella this weekend, and there was one just sitting on a bench, downtown.
Yeah.
So
The right what the Kindness Rock Project motto is: the right word at the right time can change someone's day.
right.
And that's kind of like what the Kindness Rocks are about. You just spread them around. You can keep
And they
them if you
don't
want
have to be
that's
fancy.
fine.
They don't have
Yeah.
to, I mean, this
Yeah.
one's just painted like a rainbow with words on it. I mean, it
Yep.
doesn't have to be fancy. You think you're not an artist, but you can paint a rock. I mean, you don't
Oh,
have to do much to paint a rock.
really? I
Or like you
have,
said, that Mod Podge idea, you wouldn't have to paint at all if you wanted to do that.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I try to keep a couple with me in my purse, the little bitty ones. They're all different sizes that they come in. Just little bitties.
Mhm.
I will put them on, like when you go to a restaurant, when the bill comes and they leave it there with you. I like to put something like this. Thanks for being awesome.
Oh, cool.
Something like that for the waitress. Or I'll go to a restaurant and I'm sitting next to the window on a ledge. I'll just put one up on the ledge for somebody to look, and there's another little bitty one. And go to the bank tellers, stick it in the drawer when they close it up and then drive away. And I've put them in grocery stores. I've put them in department stores just on the shelves. Nothing where there's food or anything around.
Right.
But, I drop them in, the tip cup, with a tip, but I'll throw one of those in. There's another little bitty one. Namaste.
You also said that the little tiny ones that are hard to write, you have an idea to work with those too. Because if you go out and buy rocks, or outside too, you're going to find some itty bitty ones that.
Oh yeah, there's some of these are just really pretty little, almost like little gems. But if you get with some, kids would need definitely some help with that. You need to get some little magnets and some super glue. And just glue on the back of the rock, and the refrigerator magnet.
Or any place you can stick a magnet, right?
Yeah. And here's another one that just sort of.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
You can, mom and dad could take it to work and stick it on their filing cabinet, or wherever.
This one's just leftover Easter paint that I had that I dumped on there. So yeah, that's about it.
Another cute idea. Good idea. So this is something that's, you know, makes people smile. You've seen it outside your window there. People stop and they smile, and just it also helps you, but it also helps the person that you leave the rock and then they happen to pick it up. So
Yeah,
thank you for
I suffer from anxiety and depression, like a lot of people do. You know, you take medication for it, but still, there's just some times when it's just you need a little extra boost.
Mhm.
Um, my husband will notice, have you painted any rocks lately?
Right. So if it's not painting is not your outlet, this is real easy, something to
Yeah,
do. Like I said, you can do it with your kids, your grandkids, do it by yourself,
all
do
year
it in a
long.
group.
You
Yep.
can do it all year
Yep.
long.
Yes. Yep.
And I do Christmas rocks too. I start putting those out you know, like around the 1st of November or so, just because, you know, people set up their Christmas stuff early and all.
Right.
But you you can do it all year long. It doesn't have to be for each holiday or anything. It's just you can do, you know, like shopping malls and all those inside places, dropping them off too. So, especially when the winters are
If
so
you can't
long.
think of ideas, it's real easy to just Google kindness rocks and all sorts of ideas will pop up and you can just kind of use that as inspiration.
Um, I
Um,
had,
so
yeah, I go to Instagram and Pinterest too. And this is one I did yesterday. I just got that off of
oh,
Instagram.
cute. I found some like just some printouts too that you can use. You can
Yeah,
just use those as inspiration too. So there's all
yeah.
sorts of things out there. If you're not feeling inspired, you can do that.
And even
And
just plain doodles. Just plain,
yep,
I mean, that's just me just cleaning my brush off. And
right.
isn't it pretty?
It is
And so
pretty. So it's
I would
easy for
like
all
that.
ages, Somebody can't draw a picture, but they can paint on a rock, right? The
Oh,
little
some of
littles
the
can
most
do
precious
something.
ones are
Yeah,
the ones that the little kids do. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So, well, thank you for coming on and sharing how you got
Sure, thank
started, and
you.
maybe it'll inspire somebody else. Like I said, we don't have a garden, but I still think it's just a fun project that I kind of do by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Might get the grandkids involved this summer, but yeah, it's just a fun thing to do. And
Yeah,
if you're looking for a creative outlet or just something to
yeah.
lift up your spirits, either go for a walk and look for a rock, or paint one yourself and share it. So
The kindness garden that I'm talking about out my window is in Greenway Park in Altoona. It's towards that my area is towards 4th Street Southwest.
okay.
So across from Lions Park where they have the softball fields over there.
Okay.
So just come up across the street and come up this way. And, you know, just um, be respectful. It is part of the city park. Um, we do have a sign there that says, you know, please do not throw our rocks in the creek. I've had to retrieve several the first year or so of my pretty painted rocks in the creek. So let's not do that.
Right.
But most people understand what they are anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just be respectful of the property. It is a city park. It's a community project. I started it as a community project for everyone to get involved in and start doing it. And I have had um, several that have started painting their own and if not dropping them off, just spreading them out through the city themselves, and that's really rewarding to see
Yeah.
other things happening from what we began.
Okay, we are coming on almost a half an hour that we've been chatting here.
Oh,
So I will put a link to your Facebook page
thank you.
on in the comment section. I forgot to look to see if anyone has made a comment. I'm not finding anything.
Okay.
But if you have any questions, you can put it in the comments, and we can get back to you that way too. So thank you for
Absolutely.
joining. Have
All
a good day.
right. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.